외국인이에요?
아, 네, 네, 맞아요.
한국 사람인 줄 알았네.
퇴근한 후에 뭐 해요?
퇴근하고 저는 집에 있는 걸 좋아해요. 한국 진짜 잘하세요.
아, 감사합니다.
How long have you been learning Korean?
I've been learning Korean for 7 years.
Where are you from?
I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
How long have you been in Korea?
Ooh, 3 years.
How many languages do you speak?
Oh, including Korean, I think about 4, but not fluently.
What are those 4 languages?
So of course English. First language. Spanish is another one of my languages. But I would say I'm a little bit stronger in my reading and writing than my listening and speaking. Chinese, because I learned Chinese when I was in middle school. And then lastly, Korean, which is I'm still learning it to this day.
How did you learn Korean?
Oh, so I first started learning Korean maybe in early 2019. Like I knew I had a trip to Korea planned. And the thing about me, I don't like traveling to a foreign country without at least learning some survival skills. And when I started learning Korean, I'm just like, oh, this language is really beautiful sounding. So started off with self-study. After my trip to Korea, I realized like, oh, like I really want to learn this language a lot more. So I purchased private tutoring sessions. Yeah, so I did private tutoring for about a few months, and then I had to move to Korea actually for a Yonsei program, a visiting student program. And at Yonsei, I decided to join a Korean language program at like an academy. So I did that, and then I also joined a Korean language program as well. But these days, I'm still more focused on self-study. It's a little bit better for me.
Can you just give me like a breakdown of like how you studied?
So I first started off with like Coursera. So I did a Yonsei course on Coursera, and it helped me learn Hangul a lot better, like the alphabet and everything. So I purchased some of their PDF files, and I was just, looking through, trying my best to memorize at least. But I realized that for me specifically, textbook learning isn't beneficial because I can memorize, and it's like in the moment I memorize it, but then when it's time for me to use it outside in real life conversation, I cannot remember those words that I memorized. So these days, I feel like talking to my friends in Korean is a lot more beneficial for me, like listening and picking up words that stick to me. Really, I'm not really sure how to describe that, but whichever words that I hear that I find, oh, maybe this word sounds interesting, or the meaning of the word is like really beneficial, then this is how I learn Korean these days.
Well, I'm gonna put your Korean to test like right now.
여보세요?
네, 여보세요.
네, 안녕하세요. 몇 살이요?
저 25살이에요.
25살? 오, 저는 24살이요.
어디 사람이에요?
저는 미국 사람이에요.
한국말 진짜 잘하시네요.
아니요. 진짜 잘못해요. 혹시 대학원 학생이에요?
저는 회사 다녀요.
회사원이에요?
네.
퇴근한 후에 뭐 해요?
퇴근하고 저는 집에 있는 걸 좋아해요.
오.
한국 진짜 잘하세요.
감사합니다. 와, 재밌어.
How was it?
Actually, I feel so nervous all of a sudden. Sometimes I'm not able to pick up 100% of what people say. So I understood maybe about 80%. At this point, I feel like using context clues is kind of beneficial, especially when learning Korean.
Where are you from?
I'm from Sweden.
And how long have you been in Korea?
I've been in Korea for like 7 months.
How many languages do you speak?
I speak Swedish, English, Korean, French. And then I started studying a bunch of other languages like Chinese, but gave up pretty quickly because it's so hard.
Among, like the languages which one do you think was like a lot easier for you to study?
I feel like Korean was the most straightforward to me.
How did you learn Korean?
When I started studying Korean, of course I did a little bit of like grammar and vocab studying through internet, like podcasts and stuff. To be honest, what I've learned from learning other languages is that the most important thing is to talk to native speakers. Basically, as soon as I had learned a few words in Korean, I just dived right in and started speaking to natives.
I'm going to be putting your Korean to test and you're going to be talking to natives.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
뭐 하고 있으세요?
저요? 집에 있어요.
그래요?
뭐 하세요?
저는 밖에 있어요.
밖인데 되게 조용하다.
그러네요. 네.
어디서 뭐해요?
네?
어딘데요? 밖에 어디 카페?
저 홍대에 있어요.
홍대.
네.
근데 왜 이렇게 조용해요? 홍대가 되게 조용해.
그러네요. 뭐 오전이라서 그런가요?
그런가 보다. 학생이에요?
네. 학생이세요?
저는 직장인이에요.
그래요? 무슨 일 하세요?
저는 디자이너.
오, 멋있네요.
하나도 안 멋있어요. 노예. 와, 근데
아, 네, 네, 맞아요.
근데 한국말 완전 잘한다.
아니에요. 아직 멀었어요.
대박 대박. 언제 공부했어요? 언제부터?
아, 저 한 2년 반 전에 시작했는데, 근데 그때는 일했기 때문에 뭐 제대로 공부 못했어요. 네.
아 일을 했어요?
네, 그래서 이젠 한 6개월 전에 한국에 왔는데, 그때는 처음으로 적극적으로 공부하게 됐어요.
와 공부했는데 너무 잘하는 거.
아니에요.
한국 사람인 줄 알았네.
예. 아, 혹시 이 앱을 왜 사용하세요?
저 심심해가지고.
아, 심심해서요? 아, 그럴 수 있죠, 뭐. 저 이젠 가야 될 것 같아요.
아 그래요.
네.
좋은 하루 보내세요.
네, 좋은 하루 보내세요. 만나서 반가웠어요.
반가웠어요.
네, 안녕히 계세요.
How was it?
재밌었어요. It was fun.
What would you say, like, is the most important thing when learning the language, specifically Korean?
For me, like what I did the most is like trying to be analytical. So even if I'm watching like a K-drama or I'm listening to some Korean music or rap or whatever, I'm always analyzing everything. So I'm always like, oh, this is how this grammar is used. Oh, this is how this word is used, and like this. And then whenever there's like a specific vocab or grammar that I feel like I need to like learn more specifically, I Google that because I feel like always being curious and like active in your learning. So not just like casually watching TV like the K-dramas or just like, yeah.
Where are you from?
I live in Grants Pass, Oregon, in America. It's a beautiful place. If you ever get a chance to visit it someday.
So, like, if you don't mind me asking, like, what do you do for a living?
I work as a physical therapist at a hospital in America.
How many languages do you speak?
Born in America, I speak English, and I've been learning Korean. So basically, just 2 languages is what I speak.
How long have you been learning Korean?
I've been learning Korean for 7 years, so it hasn't been like an everyday, daily, consistent thing where I like put time to the side, but I'll still make an effort to interact with the language somehow.
What's your process like, learning Korean for like the past 7 years?
The very first thing I did on the first day I started learning Korean was to make sure I learned Hangul and the Korean alphabet, because without that, you're going to have a really hard time obviously reading the language or understanding the language. So that was the very first thing I did. From there, starting to get into like some videos or grammar books or things through the internet about the most common words used in Korean, some basic grammar, starting to write really basic sentences. And, from there, just building upon that with different forms of learning.
I'm going to put your Korean to test today.
Yeah, all right.
You done for it?
Let's give it a try. We'll see how I do. It's not always perfect, but I'll do my best. 안녕하세요. 이름이 뭐예요?
이름은 좀 비밀입니다.
아, 반갑습니다. 저는 라이언입니다. 미국 사람이세요?
진짜요? 미국 사람이세요?
네, 근데 지금 서울에 있어요. 여행하고 있어요. 진짜 재밌어요.
아 진짜요?
네. 혹시 영어 할 줄 알아요?
아니요 할 줄 모르고
제 한국 실력이 어때요?
한국 실력 너무 좋아요.
아, 너무 좋아요. 감사합니다.
저도 감사해요.
네, 안녕.
How was it?
That was really cool, actually. I actually feel like I did better than I thought. My biggest struggle I've had while being in Korea and speaking Korean, because I'm, in America from a city where there's not a lot of Korean people, so I barely ever get to interact with them and speak Korean. But I was actually really happy with how that went. I feel really proud of myself. That was like super cool. That made me feel really awesome.
Where are you from?
I'm from America.
Do you speak Korean?
I speak conversationally enough to get by. Yeah.
So, like, how did you learn Korean?
So when I was younger, despite how I look now, I actually did a lot of like K-pop trendy stuff before. So I had lessons as well as self-study, but a lot of the Korean I learned was just from friends and people around me.
What was the process like, learning Korean?
I first started off by learning just like the basics, the alphabet, by going on YouTube. All of those basic courses are really helpful. And then I used to attend SNU, so Seoul National University. So I was enrolled in their language program as well as their political science degree. So I took courses at the school at the same time.
So I'm going to put your Korean to test today.
여보세요?
네, 안녕하세요. 한국에 온 지 얼마나 됐어요?
1년? 어떤 음식 너무 좋아해요?
제가 좋아하는 음식은 그 로제 떡볶이랑 마라탕.
멋있어요. 안녕히 계세요.
How was it?
A little bit awkward because I was waiting for him to ask me the question, but it was nice practice.
What would you say, like the most important thing is when learning Korean?
In real-time communication, such as on the app, or conversating with native Koreans. Because the textbook Korean that you learn in school, especially when I went to SNU, it can be used, but in everyday life, it's definitely modified. And conversations can often be different from what they are in textbooks.
Where are you from?
I'm from the US/Puerto Rico.
How long have you been in Korea?
I've been in Korea on and off since 2021, so about 2 years.
Do you speak Korean?
A little bit. I can understand a bit more than I can speak. I say I can have a basic conversation in Korea and defend myself in certain situations, yeah.
And how did you learn Korean?
I started learning Korean as a challenge, just on a whim during college. My mom was really into K-dramas, and I decided why not just learn Korean. And so by myself, I started learning the alphabet, Hangul, and how to pronounce it. Once I finished college, I came to Korea and applied to a Korean academy, and I started learning for 6 months at a Korean academy.
What has been your process like learning Korean? Can you briefly run me through that?
For me, I learn a lot by practicing what I'm learning. Like, for example, I try to make some online Korean friends and practice texting that way. They also help me correct my pronunciation or correct grammar. Going to an academy really helped me practice self-studying and help me practice with my classmates and my teachers asking questions. So that's my way of studying Korean, just practice, practice, practice.
I'm going to be putting your Korean to test today.
Oh, God.
Hey, don't worry, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just give me 1 second. 1 second. Yeah, you'll be fine.
안녕하세요.
반갑습니다.
당신 MBTI 어떠세요?
ISFP.
저 INFP예요.
원래 어느 나라 사람이에요?
저 미국 사람이에요. 미국에서 가봤어요?
미국이요? 아니요, 저 미국 한 번도 안 가봤어요. 태어나서.
그러면 영어 할 수 있어요?
아니요, 영어를 못해요.
한국에서 제일 좋아하는 음식 뭐예요?
계란이요.
어떤 계란? 계란찜?
근데 전 다 계란이면 다 좋아하긴 하는데 그래도 계란 후라이가 제일 좋은 것 같아요. 계란 후라이.
오, 지금 가야 돼요. 연락해서 감사합니다.
아니요, 조심히 가세요.
네. That was interesting. It was interesting. It was fun talking to a random Korean person I don't know. But it was a fun experience having to get to know each other in a short period of time. I don't know, it was really fun practicing Korean on a whim.